The following program contains material which may be considered adult in nature. Discretion should be used.
Welcome to the Metalhead Asia podcast. This is Dictator from Laos. You better fucking like him. I'm the Thrashmaster General Phil, and with me is Private First Thrash, Josh. Say hello, Josh.
Hello.
So on today's episode, we got some Dictator, we got some December, we got interviews from Ben from Dissevered, got some Sonolin, and the always funny Dominic. But first, let's listen to some Dictator. So that was Dictator. Dictator just played last week at Metal Destruction with 9 other bands. Josh, we went to that show last week. What do you think? Do you think it's a good show? Tell me about it. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I would say it had a late start, but they did really good putting it together. Everyone was there supporting each other. You know, all the bands pretty much stayed. They stayed there.
There's a good crowd.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of the Thai guys come over, which it's really nice to see the Thai guys come over and support the Lao scene here. You know, it's great that there's that brotherhood, that's that camaraderie that happens here, and the Thai guys are just super cool. We bring the Thai bands into here. They bring their crowd with them. They bring their people. You know, M from the Heaven and Hell shop was there. Tap that runs, he's a promoter, does a Bangkok Thrash. Akavit, who does the Zombie Zine. You know, a lot of those guys, they have a group. They put a lot of stuff together and they help grow the scene. So tell us who was playing. Who did you like? Who did you didn't like? I mean, was there anything that stood out?
Stood out. I would say all the bands were good. You know, for whatever you were into. Like there was death metal. There was some just straight out thrash metal. Then you have like Dictator, which is more the thrash scene. Then you have another black metal band, which was interesting, Solid, they're from Chiang Mai. And then you have like Masochist, who play a lot of the big death fests around here. They're a bit more of a thrashy band.
Well, that's good. You know, it's good to see the variety. It's not just a single focused type of show. That, you know, there's a variety in metal. It kind of appeals to all metalheads. It didn't have any hair metal bands, but it kind of, got into the modern progressive dark guys. And, you look at bands like the Lao band, Acclaim a Sinner, these guys are, they're 17, 18-year-old kids, and they're up there. They've been together for the past year and a half. They're playing mostly covers. They got one original that they played, but they're going up there. They got their 7-string guitars. They're kicking ass. They're playing more deathcore, which is something I'm not overly familiar with. Maybe you know a little bit more about deathcore.
I'm learning all about this death scene, man, because it's all brand new.
Yeah.
My roots are punk rock, thrash metal, growing up with the basic metal, we all grew up with. But yeah, the death metal scene here is so prominent. That's the big thing. Right.
And that's kind of one of the hardest thing to really kind of get into here is, you have to have some roots into the death scene. And, when we were growing up, we had bands like Chuck Schuldiner, Death, I mean, that was huge back in the 80s, well, I mean, it's huge now. Back then it was kind of like, who's this band Death? And, they're based out of Florida. And then when Chuck died of, he had brain cancer back in the late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of people were like, yeah, these guys are the founder of the death movement back in the 80s, and if you listen to a lot of their music, you can see a lot of thrash, how it's kind of put together, but how that thrash has evolved into death nowadays. And you got to look at that pioneers, and those guys, even in these bands, really like death and they respect them.
the thing about it is look at the influence, right, that music has on this society, these people over here in Asia. That's what amazes me. I'm like, you're hearing music, the Western style of music, yet it's a Thai band, yet it's a Lao band, yet it's an Indonesian band, and they're putting their own spin into it.
Yep.
The Death Fest I was in Bangkok, there was a band called Digging Up from Bandung, and a lot of their symbology was like Buddha and things like that. So there's a lot of folklore and things in their death metal, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's good to see how one band's interpretation with death can be completely different than another band's interpretation with death. Some death bands go real political. That's kind of more the thrash environment, a thrash death. As you put a lot of politics into it. You say the things that you're angry, and it's what everybody wants to hear politically. A lot of the death scene around here is more like, how gross can you get? Let's make everybody sick and disgusting. The Cannibal Corpse stuff, the let's talk about intestines and the fornication with intestines and the dead corpses and the dead bodies and stuff like that. But it's good to see. You take bands like the Lao bands that played at Metal Destruction. You had Dissevered and Morana. Both those guys are death bands. Let's be obvious. Dissevered, Pete and Ben, those guys have a great thing. They've gotten together. They got signed by New Standard Elite, which is an American death label. They got a lot of good quality death sound and everything. Pete's a fantastic blast drummer. He does a double kick so precise, it's unbelievable. And you got Morana. Thun has this great vision of what he wants to do with his band. And for those of the listeners out there, Morana actually means deterioration in Lao. I think in Thai also. So it's kind of a local death word that's being used as a name of a band. So, but as you can see from Acclaim Center with their deathcore that they're bringing around their 7-string guitars, to Morana and Dissevered that has a strong death part of it. And you got Dictator. Dictator is the thrash gods of Laos. They've been around for a long time, and they headline the show. And
yeah, for sure. I'm just new to the scene, so I'm just learning about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, my roots have been in punk rock, growing up in California and seeing these bands progress. Which in Bangkok is interesting because there's a mix. A punk band will play with a metal band, like a band playing this weekend, Low Fat, who are a Japanese hardcore band, right? Tight, man. Sando's an amazing guy, amazing energy on stage. And these guys will play, with a metal show or with another show. There's a mix going on,
right
there. And the amount of shows happening in Bangkok, of course, compared to Laos, one day Laos, it'd be great to see that happening here.
Yeah, sure. You're sure. So you're going to Bangkok this weekend. Who are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, I'm going to see a band. This punk rock band called the Elected Officials, and they're going to be coming through. So they've been traveling around, which they put this whole tour together through Facebook, through the internet. They just started contacting people in Indonesia, Malaysia,
Sure.
Thailand, and they put this together. So
they're a hardcore band from Texas, is that right?
They're a punk rock band.
Punk rock band.
Political anarchy punk rock band. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. So that's where Low Fat fits in exactly with what these guys are doing.
Yeah. And the other bands playing, they're the Diehards, which are another band. Full-on Mohawk band, man. I've seen clips of them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That really reaches back to the 80s, and the punk movement happening back then, which you don't see very much anymore nowadays. That's really dying type scene,
Actually, in Myanmar, there's a huge scene right now, and that's growing. And then in places of Indonesia and Malaysia and stuff, there are punk rockers still in Southeast Asia. But yeah, it's a scene, that's still alive.
Good. Let's go back to Metal Destruction. So we went over the Lao bands with Acclaim Center, Morana, Dissevered, and Dictator taking their part on this weekend. The 5 other bands were Thai bands that came over, which Josh briefly hinted on. The Death the thrash and black metal. There was Macaroni, In Vain, Sonolin, Masochist, and Nuclear Warfare. Nuclear Warfare, I've talked to these guys. They're thrash guys. They're, you know, fantastic show. Which one of those really stood out for you?
I would say uh, Nuclear Warfare was amazing. There's just the three guys together on guitars, just standing there thrashing it out. That was cool to see.
Yeah.
It was different than from what else was going on, so it was a little bit of a different mix to the other bands.
Yeah, definitely a big change up, you know. So what was your opinion of the black metal, the Sonolin? What did they? I mean, I'm sure you were pretty shocked when nobody's seen really a black metal band around here, and these guys come out in all ghost paint and everything like that. You know, what was the deal with that?
They're really tight, man. They're really good.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, a lot of these lyrics are in Thai, or they're just done in that growling style, so you don't really understand exactly what they're lyrically what they're saying.
Sure.
But the expression is there, you know, and the music was really tight.
And that's what this country or this area needs, you know, is they need original music that's, you know, obviously you can go to Norway and you can listen to black metal, you know, 24/7 up there to see black metal bands any night of the week. You come to Southeast Asia, there's not very many black metal bands, and it's good to see that somebody's actually taking their, you know, and going, hey, I love black metal. I'm going to do a black metal band. Let's help try to grow that aspect of genre for, you know, for all, you know, the area and see how it takes. Did the fans warm up to where do you think the biggest fan appreciation was for the bands? Who do you think stood out from a fan perspective?
I really, you know, that's interesting because I think they're just into it, you know, whatever it is. That's what's so cool about the music scene is they're just into it, you know, whatever the band is on stage, everyone's there, everyone's thrashing, everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
Like I said, the show went a little bit longer than it should have, but that was fine. So so many people left by the last band than it was on stage. But when, like, Masochist, man, the fans were, you know, they into it. Dissevered, I mean, everyone was into it. But, like, that, every show I've been to, there's been, it's been support, man. Like, everyone supports each other.
Yep.
Everyone's into it, you know. Which is great. It's great to see. And they all work together so well, you know.
Yeah.
There's none of this ego. There's no ego in these bands, man. There's not like one like, well, we're the top men in the scene. You don't really get that.
Metal's always been a brotherhood. You know, I think a lot of people look at it and go, yeah, this guy's a thrash guy, this guy's a death guy, this guy even is a glam hair metal guy. You know, he may be a little fringe or even punk, you know, but, you know, there's that camaraderie of knowing that, hey, we don't listen to pop music, you know. We listen to stuff that, you know, really means something to us, and that's where you can get a room full of guys, and the scene's so small here that everybody shows up and everybody supports everybody, and, you know, it's hard not to appreciate, you know, everybody that's up on stage and putting in, you know, they put in their time, they put in their blood, sweat, and tears into this, and you know, they're never gonna be, you know, like Metallica, you know. I mean, there's a slim chance at any of these bands here, but they put it out on the table. They work hard, and it's great to see that, you know, that there's the fight in them, that they do this because they love it, they enjoy it, and I think that I hope the scene keeps building and more bands keep coming around. You know, I was talking to a couple guys at Metal Destruction. One was one of the guys from the band Flash. Flash played in Metal Destruction a couple years ago, and they do practically a little bit of metalcore, kind of like what Awaken the Dreamer, another Lao band, is. And he was telling me about how they got a new lineup. You know, they're working on new songs, and I'm like, are you working on originals or covers? And they're like, we got one original, but we're working on these things. And, you know, those guys are young, you know, those guys are like in their early 20s. And then the Vomit Insanitor guys who played with us at Halloween were there, and they're deathcore, kind of similar to what Acclaim a Sinner is, and they're working hard to do stuff. So we got the young kids, not all of us old guys are in there, sitting and playing gray-haired.
Yeah, the gray-haired agent, dude.
Yeah,
exactly.
We got these guys, the young kids coming out there, and it's good to see their energy, them getting in front, and that's what this scene needs. More of the young kids getting involved so they can look back in 20 years like what we are and going, yeah, I helped build the scene in Laos, and help grow it.
But also, it's a family. The thing is, it's a family. Everybody knows everyone, man. That's what.
Yeah.
I'll be in Bangkok and I'll be talking to there's a guy Carnovia who runs the Immortal Bar, and I was talking the other day and I was like, yeah, the guy and the Down in Hat, yeah, he puts on shows. Guy, we call him Guy. I'm like, yeah, you know him.
Yeah.
They know. M knows everyone, but that's what's so cool about it is, like I said, it's so much. Everyone supports each other,
Right. And everybody, like you said, knows each other so well that it's like when one thing happens, everybody knows about it. They all support it. They try to get everybody involved with it, and through that community, you keep kind of building and hoping every 6 months or every year you're adding another 50 or 100 people, that are like, hey, come and join this family of ours, and it's good to see some new faces there. It's good to see some foreigners that show up for these and help support it. I think that overall the scene here, with, between the brotherhood between Thai and Laos, and, with some of the Vietnamese connections that come into Laos, there's, and the Indonesian connections and the Malaysian connections, there's a channel that's starting to really, really happen around here, and we're starting to see more bands come around, help building the scene and things like that. So,
well, ASEAN, right? I mean, it's the whole ASEAN thing coming together through music, through metal music. Who would have thought? Exactly. ASEAN grouping together through metal music.
You're exactly right. And that's the greatest thing about being Southeast Asia. It's you're so close to a neighboring country. It's it's like the states. You got states where you're right beside each other, but each state speaks a different language. Each state has a different culture. But when it comes to metal, it doesn't matter who's in those states. They listen to Metallica. I was talking to M and Tap this weekend, and we're talking about Metallica, and those guys love Metallica, and you can just see it. Metallica's done so much for the scene, global metal scene, that, all of us guys in our late 30s, 40s or whatever, heavily influenced by Metallica. We love it. We help promote that stuff, and it's trickling down into the younger kids also. So
we grew up with all this stuff. We grew up with in the 80s, and funny thing is, growing up in the 80s, the metal scene was huge. Like, that was the thing that was in.
Yep.
And
you're
now,
right.
Now America, it's like pop music. And so here, I mean, it is the underground scene, though. I mean, it's not the mainstream scene, but still, it's supported. Like, it is. It's really unity. Everyone gets together. They all go out to the shows. They promote each other's shows, and they work together really well.
So who is this blonde British guy that was at Metal Destruction? And boy, I tell you what, from what I've seen on Facebook, people are posting his pictures. Do we even have a name for this guy?
I don't know. I have a clip. I have some clips. So
okay,
we're gonna have to go through. We're gonna go through our Metal Destruction, and we're gonna be posting some recap stuff from the day.
Yeah,
It was a long day of sitting out waiting for everything to start, drinking beers, which everyone was. But the thing was, everyone was having fun. Yeah. Everyone was just happy to be there, and that was what's so cool about it.
People, even my Lao and Thai is terrible, but people still try to come up and talk to me and introduce themselves, or they're even asking where Ninja Attack was and where all the guys were. So there is there's being a part of this community and people identifying who you are and what you're doing, and it's all who you know, and it's really quickly you get to know who people are and everything. So,
well, and sure, it's not. And another thing is that there doesn't seem that anyone's trying to take advantage. Dude, I come from the background of Hollywood, and everyone was pay for play. the venues are like, oh well, we need to make something to put on these shows, right?
Right.
And here it's like, dude, I've gone to free shows. Like they're like, come on into this, come to this restaurant, watch a band play.
Yeah.
I mean, they're. It's like if you want to come play, just come play.
It's more like you almost get the feeling that people do it for the love of the music. They don't do it to make money off of it. I know that Big Joe that runs Metal Destruction, it's got to be expensive to bring, I mean, he brought over 5 Thai bands, and if he's got to pay for any travel or pay for any bit of, housing or food or anything like that, it's got to be expensive to bring 5 bands over here. And for the amount of people that were Metal Destruction, I would go on a limb to say that I don't think he profited, or I think it is a loss for him, which is unfortunate because it really needs to be more globally or regionally recognized, and to build something more off of it.
Sure, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when you look at these shows, some of them you see are very profitable and some are not, and but they're willing to put their love and heart into the scene and to help support the scene.
Sure.
And that what comes down is the most important thing.
You're exactly right. So we're going to take a quick break right now. We're going to play some December, and then we'll be back with some interviews here in a second. So hold on. That was December, a death prog band from Thailand. If you like what you hear, go find them on Facebook. We'll try to put a link up onto our Metalhead Asia Facebook page for these guys. They've got many CDs out. The guitarist is huge into Pantera. He plays a lot with what Dimebag Darrell does. And these guys are huge in Thailand and Southeast Asia. They played in Singapore. They played here in Vientiane. They've opened for bands like Megadeth, Korn, and Lamb of God. So let's get to the interviews, Josh. Let's fire up the first one.
2 more bands to go. Nuclear Warfare and Dictator. All right, man, I'm hanging out. Yo.
Hello, my name is Dominic, also known as Whirlpool from Dark Cove. Yeah, we're talking about cracker metal, but it'll be all about the black and death.
All right, so that's Dominic, a.k.a. Whirlpool. This was the guy that was, we don't know exactly what he was on, but he was having a very, very good time. He was talking to everyone. He was kind of speaking his mind pretty freely. The Loud guys got pictures of him. They were putting him on Facebook. They were calling him the second coming of Kurt Cobain. This guy's a riot.
Yeah, quite a character, man. Quite a character running this show.
All right,
interesting guy.
Let's see what he has to say here. Okay, hold on a second.
That's got to be the next thing. The cracker metal, man, We got the black metal, we got the death metal, and then we got to get the cracker metal going, man.
Yeah, like Uncle Cracker.
like Uncle Cracker.
Like metal.
All right, more metal, man. All right, yeah, man. It's Josh.
And this guy's a genius. He's a genius.
This is Metalhead Asia! Say, give me a shout out, Metalhead Asia, motherfucker!
Yeah, shout out to my man Seth Brundle, shout out to
fucking say, Metalhead Asia!
Morbid Angel!
No, Metalhead Asia!
Okay, Metal in Asia!
There we go, Metalhead Asia! Alright.
Okay.
I'm out, All right, man. Yep, that's metal in Asia. All right, there we go. Metalhead Asia. Metal in Asia.
It does feel nice that he said Morbid Angel. Like, he gave us a nice big shout out saying, "Oh, Morbid Angel," even though he was so far off the miss. I mean, he just missed the target entirely with that one. So.
Exactly. But it's classic. But I mean, he came up with some classic stuff. The guy's an interesting character. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Coming all the way from 10,000 Island, dude. Like, what, 10 hours by bus to come up to these metal shows? I mean, that's dedication, man.
Yeah, just don't do drugs, kids. That's all we have to
Don't do
say.
drugs,
Don't do
exactly.
drugs, and,
Yeah.
and when you're in public, let's just be a little safe on what you say, or you may end up in the Metalhead Asia podcast.
It's all good fun, man. It's all good fun.
All right, next we have one of your interviews with Ben from Dissevered in the bathroom. So
Yeah. This is funny, man. I just ran into him in the bathroom and just threw out the microphone. That's what's great about it. Just throw out the microphone at any point. Yo, I throw this straight out. Hey, I'm hanging out with the fucking guitars from Dissevered, man. How are you, bro?
Yeah, okay. Bit tired. Bit stoned actually, because all these spots light in the room, but all good.
How's the Metal Destruction show going, man?
Sorry?
How's the Metal Destruction show going so far?
Yeah, so far so good. Couple of amps are broken, destroyed, subwoofers exploded. Otherwise, everything's pretty normal for me.
Yeah, well, fucking, yep. Straight out of Southeast Asia, man. Fucking, where are you from, bro?
From Vientiane, eh?
Vientiane, dude. How long has your band been together now, Dissevered?
Yeah, it's been a year or so. I'll say a year and a half. A year and a half so far.
Oh, cool, man. We'll hear more from these guys, man. We're going to do a full...
yeah, I know Ben very well and those guys. You know, they've been around for quite a while. They used to be in a band called Sapaniket.
Okay.
Ben's not originally from Vientiane, but it's funny he said he was.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. He feels like he now is part of Vientiane, which is cool. You know, actually, I was just thinking, how many bands are there now in Vientiane? How many metal bands do we have currently going?
Man, that's a good question. You know, I mean, obviously, we got the Godfather's Dictator. You know, we got Pete and Dissevered. You know, we got Klima Center. Ninja Attack, even though we're all foreigners. You know, the metal scene's pretty limited. Vomited Sanitor, Awaken the Dreamer, those guys are metalcore. I don't know. Well, you were at Metal Destruction. They had quite the variety there, and most of the bands played there live. Got an interview with Sonalin here. You going to prompt us on that?
Yeah, actually, that's pretty funny. We were just hanging out at the bar, man. I got Randall the Barbarian in there, which will be featuring more on this podcast. But yeah, we were just hanging out, man, and this guy was there, and you know, yeah, man. So here it is. Here's Sonalin. They're from Chiang Mai, black metal from Chiang Mai.
One band.
Holy shit. Hey, let me do a quick shout out from Metal Destruction. Yo, I'm hanging out with Randall the Barbarian.
What's up?
Hey, what's your name, bro?
Callum, nice to see you.
Cool. Where you're from? Where? Chiang Mai, right?
I'm from Chiang Mai, yes.
So, fucking, how's your time been in Laos, man?
Yeah, it's been great, man. Like, it's my 4th time in Vientiane, and I really like it. It's got some great restaurants. It's got a cool jazzy bar. Can't come very wrong, right?
Cool. And how long you been playing with the band?
About 4 months.
and name of your band again, bro.
Sonilon.
What is it? Sorry, dude.
Sonilon.
Sonilon. All right, cool, man. Well, looking forward to fucking seeing you play, man. And I'm here. This is the Josh, man. Metalhead Asia, straight out of fucking Vientiane, Laos. Woo! All right, let's do some shout outs. Woo!
Hello.
All right. All right. Check out. Late. All right, man. Yep. Sonalin. I hope I got that right. Yeah, man. It was cool. You know, he was a really, really cool dude. Just playing straight out, man. They did the whole black metal thing. You know, put on all the makeup, got up there, full on dark, you know, lyrics, just that full on, just heavy sound. It was cool.
We got a track of theirs. We'll play it here after a little bit, but it was kind of nice to see that we actually brought death metal, or I'm sorry, black metal into Vientiane. That's something that I'm probably sure scared a little bit of the kids around here when they saw it. You don't see black metal on a regular basis in Vientiane, so.
No. What's the whole thing is the difference, right? But we'll get into this more. But like the whole difference between black metal, death metal, and the whole scene. Like black metal, how would you describe black metal to someone that's never heard black metal compared to death metal?
You know, that's a very good point. And what I would say is this, and this is purely my perspective on this. You take a church song, all right? You take it, you put a lot of negative, or probably a lot of minor chords into it, and you just convert that to like a very drop down detuned guitar. You slow it down to half tempo, and there in somewhere all that you get kind of a black metal type feel. It feels like you're going to a church, like a satanic church.
Satanic church, the Church of Satan. No,
exactly.
No, but it's like it's just cool to see the theatrical,
Theatrics, yeah.
Theatrics of the whole thing with the black, with the with the makeup. They're just like, they're all dressed up, and
something like that is something that it is so rare around here. I guess if you go up to Norway, you're gonna see it, on a regular basis. But around here,
exactly.
You're not gonna see very many black metal bands around here.
Yeah, you're not gonna see guys like driving on a motorbike, like dressed up in their black. They dress like, if you see sometimes like the goths and stuff, they'll walk down the street all dressed up. It's crazy. Back home
you gotta respect that. Those guys are living it. Those people live that image, and that is where you got to really respect and have somebody that has the balls to go out on a daily basis and wear that image on their sleeve and say, that was me. I guess it's no different when we were kids in the 80s, when
Mohawks, man,
or even the sprayed hairspray,
exactly.
Guys walking around with teased up bangs and all that shit. I guess
exactly.
It's a matter of the times, man. Everybody changes to fit their music, and
exactly, that's it. But it's funny, like, you don't see. That's one thing I have not seen in Vientiane, and I'd love to see. And we'll get into that later in an interview I did just recently. But with the Mohawks, man, there's no Mohawks.
Yeah.
There's none of the punk scene, right?
Yeah.
But metal, man. I mean, it's just emerging here. So
no, without a doubt. I think that the punk scene is something that punk stands against is truly anti-government. You stand, you're very political. You're anarchy. You're pro-gay. You're pro. It's a lot of the liberal standpoint of politics, and that's punk in its core. And here,
sure.
From a communist perspective, you really don't have that type of the sentiment around, So I can completely understand why there's no punk music around here.
But in China, there's punk music, and in Chiang Mai, it's punk music. And the thing is, it's more though of a dress and a way of expressing themselves through the music.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of it is the more liberal side of it and the more political side of it. But it's interesting though to see that expression of someone expressing themselves in that way and wearing the clothing, and just like, wow, they've. My whole thing is they've picked it up from the West. They've seen this on TV. They've seen it in the movies. They listen to the music, and it's like, they're into it. And it's cool to see, whether it's metal, whether it's punk, just something that's different,
Yeah, you're right. So that wraps up our first episode. We'd like to thank the Mighty Dictator for the opening track of Fatherland, December and their song Sucksin, the interview with Ben from Dissevered, the interview with the guys from Sonolin, and the always funny Dominic. Check us out on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we even have a YouTube channel. And a huge thanks to Sam at Inthra Studios. I'm the Thrashmaster General Phil, and with me is
Private First Thrash Josh. Hey guys, thank you for listening. Thank you so much for the support, and please support local metal. Support your local scene, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
From Metalhead Asia, thank you very much. This is Sonilon from Chiang Mai Black Metal. Enjoy.